Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas here. Very excited to welcome our guest this morning, Representative Kirk Schuring. Good morning, Kirk.
Good morning, Susie.
And we've talked about so many things over the years, but I had no idea, just heard through the grapevine, that you are the person responsible with our Ohio Film Commission, which is extremely interesting for Ohio and for our community. First of all, tell me a little bit about how you got involved with that duty.
Well, actually, I'm not in charge. I am somebody the speaker has assigned to the task of trying to see what we can do to make our film tax credit in Ohio more robust, more effective, more economically feasible and viable. And the reason the speaker asked me to do that is because back in 2006, I sponsored into law Ohio's historic preservation tax credit. So because of my familiarity with tax credits, the speaker asked me to get involved with our film tax credit here in Ohio. And to that end, the speaker and his team and myself, we all went out to California the early part of January to see movie executives and to learn more about how other states are incentivizing production companies to come to their states and how, most importantly, we can do it in a way where we can see some long-term benefit, not just the glamour and glitz of a blockbuster shoot coming to Ohio and then packing up and leaving, but to have some permanency to it where we can have regular jobs here in Ohio that come from these types of productions.
It just sounds so exciting. Help us understand a little better. What would this tax credit be? What does this mean? What is it?
Well, we've had for several years now a film tax credit in Ohio. There's about maybe 12 other states that have something similar. We're on the low end as far as what we can offer. We have a $20 million biennial tax credit, $10 million each year for 2 years, and then a $5 million per project limit. So we have individuals from all across Ohio, but most notably from the Cleveland area and the Cincinnati area, who go out and aggressively pursue these types of productions, be it a movie. In some instances, they're looking for TV work as well. But what we have found, and just to get right down to the meat and potatoes of it, is that in Ohio, because we have a $10 million per year appropriation, that commences with the beginning of the fiscal year, which in Ohio is July 1. And literally 3 months after the beginning of the fiscal year, July 1 of 2015, we ran out of our tax credit.
Used it up already.
Yeah, well, we don't have anything. And one of the places we went to in California was a movie that was being produced by an independent producer, a movie by the name of Mother's Day, directed by Gary Marshall, starring Julia Roberts and Jennifer Aniston. And that was a movie that we could have possibly secured. The independent producer told us that they really were looking to do it in Ohio, but we didn't have any tax credits to give, so we had to pass it up.
Oh, my. I want to pursue that a little bit more and your whole trip, which was really fun. You've got some fun stories that go along with that. But let's swing back to this tax credit itself. Why is this so important, Kirk?
Well, I think it's important. Number one is to stimulate economic development. And that obviously is very important. As I said earlier, as we look to change this particular program in Ohio, we want to make sure that there's some permanency to it. So we want jobs and companies to be in this industry for a long time to come, not just the crews coming in from California and then leaving after they're done with the production. The term they like to use in California is they like to go to states where they have an infrastructure of support, where they have the equipment and the personnel and lower expenses as it relates to the payroll, so that they can not only get the tax credit, but also do it for less money than they would have to spend in California.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure they love it because to make a movie in California, there is happening everywhere, and so it's almost kind of like a pain, and they have to pay so much to be able to get the rights, to be able to block off an area and secure it and take care of everything. It's so expensive that to go somewhere to, say, Ohio, where we would love to have a movie being made around the block, they must feel like they are welcomed so much differently here than there. Is that right?
That's correct. And there are 2 states that really stand out for how they have been able to work with the movie industry to build that infrastructure that we hope to do in Ohio. One is Georgia and the other is Louisiana. And their programs are much hardier and much more effective than ours, although I do have to say we are cautious because when you're talking about a tax credit, that really is a tax expenditure. Mm-hmm. And so we don't want to just spend money in a way that we're not getting a good value in return for our investment.
Sure.
And that's why we went out there, because we wanted to hear from the executives on how they could look to Ohio for a more regular setting for production rather than just coming in for 2 or 3 months and leaving. So that's the purpose of our visit, and that's what we're working on now as far as how we can craft new legislation that would bring more long-term benefit to the state of Ohio.
We're speaking with Representative Kirk Schuring. He's working alongside the Ohio Film Commission, trying to get more movies made here in our community. What do they do differently in Georgia and Louisiana than we do? What is our missing piece to that puzzle?
Well, in Georgia, literally the sky is the limit. They do not have a set amount of money that is appropriated. They basically have no cap, and they have no cap on each individual production. Now, again, I just have to be frank, that's not going to happen in Ohio. We don't do things that way.
No.
And so, but again, we can set forth criteria that would allow for a larger tax credit to be given, providing that the production company, that the executives could make some kind of commitment for more permanent jobs. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that really goes hand in glove with that is a studio. So one of the things we're contemplating now, as I continue to work with the speaker and also a gentleman by the name of Ivan Schwartz, who is the president of the Greater Cleveland Film Commission, if we could figure out a way to, through investment tax credits and maybe through working with the state capital budget to have a studio here where the folks from California would know that they can do a shoot inside if necessary, then go on location where they need to go, and again have that pool of personnel and equipment that would make it a better fit mm-hmm. than what we currently have today.
Well, Ohio has everything outdoors that you can imagine. If you want it to make like almost anywhere in the world, you can do that here in Ohio just because of our particular different terrains that we've got. If you need woods, if you need forest, if you need lakes, if you need, even sandy beaches, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Ohio has it and can look like a lot of different places, but you're right. We have weather here, and that can really get in the way. So you're talking about a sound stage that we would actually have with permanent positions as far as employment, like directors and camera people and sound people and lighting people. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes, that's what we're in the very, very preliminary stages of that. Still much more to be done as it relates to how that would happen, but that would be the infrastructure that they refer to in Hollywood. It wouldn't be the directors; those folks typically come from Hollywood, but it's all those other folks, the sound crew, the lighting crew, electricians, various technicians, and again, the beauty of it, we would have permanent jobs here in Ohio, and also the cost of doing business here in Ohio would be lower than what it is in California.
I would think that'd be very attractive to them, yes. And we do have people in our community who are really good at these jobs already. And sometimes they have been known to fly out to Hollywood and assist. But you look at those long list of names at the end of credits, and there's a lot of people who have to work on a movie, aren't there?
Well, one thing that I readily saw when I went to the studio of Supergirl, the soundstage for that CBS television series, it was bustling with people. And what was so amazing was that they're all so coordinated, but it's also, you can tell, very intense. They do takes and retakes. They look at things from many different perspectives, and I know they work endless hours. I think there's a misconception among most people, including myself before I went to California, that these are pretty easy jobs and glamorous and, not much hard work went into it, and that certainly is not the case. You can tell they're working hard. They work long hours with a lot of pressure because their time is money, and so they're under very strict timelines, and it's a fascinating thing. I really enjoyed the opportunity to meet with the executives in California, but then to actually get there in the trenches to see these productions underway. It was fascinating.
Well, you really got to go into the real deal trenches, because Supergirl is kind of a highly guarded building, that soundstage right now. We were just there as well, right there on the Warner Brothers back lot, and a relative of my son works in the building next door, Building 48, next door to Supergirl, and I know how heavily guarded that building is that you were there. So good on you that you got in there. The response from Hollywood as far as your visit there, are they excited about this, the opportunity to perhaps be doing more in Ohio?
Yes, most definitely. I was pleasantly surprised. Ivan Schwartz was the person who arranged all our meetings, and I wasn't so sure that we were going to be able to get in the room with the right kind of people, but sure enough, when we got there, we saw readily, it was executive vice presidents and the folks who were the decision makers. And then in addition to that, the producers, the people who were funding these projects. So we had a good cross-section of people we visited with, and each and every one of them were excited about having new opportunities to come to Ohio.
So cool. We are speaking with Representative Kirk Schuring. He's working alongside the Ohio Film Commission, trying to get for our economic impact, to bring more Hollywood blockbuster movies and television series so that this would be year-round, something that would benefit Ohio. We have so much to offer as far as manpower and et cetera, but working towards getting this infrastructure that you're talking about, an actual indoor place to shoot, and all of the personnel that go along with that. We're going to need to take a little break here, but when we get back, want to talk to you about past movies that have been made here, and why you say this is important to keep it going year-round rather than just having a tax credit, having them come in, shoot quickly, and then leave town. That's too sporadic, and it makes a huge, great impact at the moment, but then leaves. So the idea of a permanent place would be truly exciting. Kirk, we'll be back with you in just a minute. You're listening to Our Community.